Okay, welcome back to Secrets of Roll Mangging, the background video goodness, blah blah blah. This should probably be a shorter one, I think. I know we're about to go into the next whole section, Venice, but I think actually the next session will mostly be the Dreamland, so we'll talk about that. But let's talk about the actual session that occurred, which was wild. It was wild. All right, so let's break it down. So the first thing was the encounter on the train with the Duke, and again, I was really curious on how they would handle this. I think if Ren were there, he probably would have handed over the fake scroll, as that is the ideal situation. Like it's a win-win all the way across the board. You keep the scroll, nobody gets hurt, blah, blah, blah. That's the best way to do it. Players that we had didn't think of that. So, I figured they would try some sort of deception then. And I didn't remember that he still had that kind of paralytic poison. So I was like, okay, they're going to try to poison him, but that's not going to be easy. And I hinted, it was like, if it even works. Because the Duke is not... He doesn't have a normal body. You know, he's like completely supernatural. His body's very supernatural. He's unharmed by any normal weapon. And so I would probably say it wouldn't work at all, to be honest. Even if they hadn't gotten it inside, he consumed it unknowingly and all that, I doubt it would have affected him at all. So that was a bummer, I guess, that was their plan. But the fact that he wanted to just spit the poison into his mouth, that was just, good God. That's like a mat idea is what that is. So then they try to engage him in physical combat, and they quickly realize that wasn't going to work. And so this is really the first supernatural enemy that they've encountered. So it's a good lesson that, yeah, you're in Call of Cthulhu. This isn't just... this isn't just 100% real world stuff. There's some shit out there you can't just stab or shoot or anything like that. And so, as I said in the regular video, I was not expecting to kill William Barth like that. Literally, the Duke has a bunch of spells, and so the book says, he'll use shriveling on one or two of them, and I was like, okay, shriveling. So I looked it up, how it is in 7th edition. It's pretty simple. It's just opposing power rolls. And then however many magic points the person puts into the spell, that's how much health the other person loses. So I was like, 5 seems pretty good for just you're going to get really hurt, but it's unlikely to kill anybody. But I had targeted William Barth with it because I wanted to do the left arm thing. I wanted his left arm to get really crippled. Because that's the Duke probably didn't target his left arm, but that's the effect of the simulacrum, is that, you start to really connect with it like that. And so William Barth had also, just gotten backhanded for 3 damage, which could have been a lot worse. If he had been backhanded for 5 or 6, instead of 3, he would have just been knocked unconscious. He probably would have survived. But he got hit for 3, and then I didn't know his health, because I think he was, I don't know, maybe no, I think he just did not have much health. I don't think he was a very strong character. So, yeah, I was like, wow, okay, he's dead. I'm not going to reverse him. Like, oh, he actually only hit you for 3 damage. Sorry. 2 damage. No, he was just like, oh, keep going. And so then when Umberlee pulled out the dynamite, I'm just like, that freaking case of dynamite. I can't just make it disappear. But it's like, man, oh man, if he had just blown up the train, I honestly probably would have just ended the campaign. Which would have been sad as hell. He would have felt guilty, or I would have hoped he would feel guilty for that. It would have been an explosive end, but on the 6th session, and that would have been the start of the 6th session, that would have just been like, Jesus Christ, man. But fortunately, that did not happen, so we were allowed to press on. And were able to be introduced to the wonders of Biff Baxter, so that's good. Alright, so then they arrive in Milan, and I tried to do a good, case of just explaining to them just how depressing and drab the city was, and this is not how it's meant to be. And they went to the hotel, as expected. And they got on the trail of Katerina very quickly, as expected. At the start, they went to all the right places. They went to her apartment, they went to the station, they went to the police. They found the protesters, they got interested in that. Everything seemed to be going right on track, and then they just kind of abandoned everything. And they're just like, well, I'll just wait for the opera. And I'm like, the train leaves tomorrow. You're leaving Milan. And I guess I could have said, like, you have no idea where Katerina is. You don't even know you're here for the simulacrum. That's the whole goal of the campaign. There's a piece in Milan. You have no idea where it is. You're just going to go to the opera and hope that it's there. Why would you think this? Like they literally just wasted half their time doing nothing in Milan, just waiting for the opera. And I was like, all right. I mean, it works out because that's where the simulacrum is, but Jesus. So what did they miss? What did they miss in Milan? They missed. Sheesh. Okay, well, the big thing that they didn't go to, they didn't go to the cathedral. Il Duomo. Il Duomo is the heart of Milan. And there's the problem, is there's no impetus, there's no real reason for them to go to the cathedral. Like, there's no clue or anything that's like, oh, maybe we should check out the cathedral. They just have to, like, ask me, or, like, they just have to know that the cathedral's there, or, that it's a place of interest for the city. It's like, oh, everybody goes to the cathedral. So it's poorly set up. It's another one of those things. It's just one of those little things for the campaign where it's just like, it's not set up properly, There's no real reason for them to go there. And it's not a huge deal that they go there, but there is, there's stuff there. It's not just, oh, it's a cathedral, it's beautiful, it's architecture, blah, blah, blah. Okay, you leave. There's something there. They find the priest there, Father Angelico. And then they find 3 crones all dressed in black. 3 tiny ancient women in black. And they all work for the costume department of La Scala. They have no English. And here, this is an interesting thing. If questioned concerning evil at La Scala, they glance at one another and cross themselves. Like, cross. But will not be drawn out any further. Keepers so inclined might allow a no roll here. Is it coincidence that to cross oneself, one touches each extremity of the torso? So that's basically keepers who have dumb group members might allow a no roll here. As the investigators turn to leave the cathedral, they hear clucking sounds. An old man has gone to his hands and knees beside a pillar, obviously looking for something. If they ask to help, he is startled and stands suddenly. A glass jar tumbles from his coat to the tiled floor, shattering and scattering its contents, which consist entirely of dead butterflies and moths. The man, thin and well-dressed, hurries away. If the investigators remain, they see a chameleon appear and feast on the insect banquet. Its independently moving and strangely scaled eyes maintaining constant vigil. Then it slips behind a person or a font and disappears. The old man is Arturo Fascia, Katarina's abductor and the leader of the Milanese chapter of the Brothers of the Skin. So yeah, this is basically like the Makunga of this whole section. And you get to see him at the cathedral. But why would you ever go to the cathedral? I don't know. And then there's the death of the Unionist. This was interesting. They're very interested in the death of this guy because they appear that he worked for the car company that was, that picked up Katarina at the train station. So they think maybe there's a connection there. Maybe there's something. And the fact that it's in the book, that it's in the campaign, means it has there's something there. I mean, even if it's a red herring, there's something there that they can get involved with. That's entertaining. Even if it is a red herring, you usually like to follow red herrings because it's fun. So they follow up on that. They go to the Union Association. They go to the murder scene. They uncover the warehouse. They find the slabs. They find all this. And then they just tell the police. And that's it. Like, that's not how anything in Call of Cthulhu ever ends. Like, that's not how any section of any of these books ends. It says, the players should go to the police, inform them of their fines, and this wraps up this section. Like, that's not how anything works. I was really surprised by that, because they just told them, and then that was it. They didn't follow up on the Conti machine parts at all. Because if they do, they find out the owner, Flavio Conti. They can find his address. If they go to his address, they find a newest model of an Alfa Romeo in the garage. Like, the garage is open. It's just sitting there. And this is actually the guy that that picked up Caterina Cavallaro. They could have gone to his apartment. And, they could have had him arrested. They could have killed him. They could have done anything. And, then they could have gotten evidence there, and they could have gone to Arturo Fascia's mansion. They could have broken into his mansion. But no, they just told the police and they moved on. And we just went to the opera, and it's like, okay, and I thought they were actually all going to just sit there in front of the orchestra in their seats and just do their shit. The other thing, they didn't, so they read the article the day of the opera, saying that the music director kind of dismisses all this supernatural. It's just old wives' tale, blah, blah, blah. And they got real suspicious. They're like, oh, we don't trust this guy. Why is he saying this shit, Everybody heard this. What's he talking about? They didn't mention at all the prop director, the prop manager. We thought our troubles were over, he said, when the costumier's curse ended with the preparations for Ada. But now the bad luck is on the set itself. People are being injured or falling ill, and props are disappearing. Where will this end? Like, that text is not put there for flavor. It's important. Literally, there's 2 whole pages here just about them going to see the prop manager and getting into all that. They meet the 3 crones again. They find out all about this special 7th mannequin that's kind of disappeared. And, there's some kind of curse related to this mannequin. And, yeah, they're looking... I still don't think they fully grasp that they're looking for pieces of, like, a statue. The books all over the place mention, like, statuary, or in statues, mannequins, all sorts of, like, little hints that keep players on edge. My players don't give a flying shit about that. They have no interest in any of that. They're really just kind of bumbling their way through, which in Masks is kind of just hilarious. Because in Masks, you're not really ever looking for anything. Masks is so free form with what the players are really supposed to be doing that it's almost expected you're just bumbling through from one location to the next. And it's funny. It's great. Here, it's just like, it's very, like, it's so much more concrete, I guess. It's very... I don't even know how to describe it, but you know what I'm saying. Like, they have all the information that they need from Beddoes at the very start, where it's like, pieces of the, you're looking exactly for these pieces in these locations. Do your research, be investigators. They are being Call of Cthulhu characters. There's a difference there. And maybe I'm expecting too much from my players. But then the problem is, how long will their interest really be kept if they don't really care about the whole investigation thing, And so that's what worries me about, like, the whole dynamite case thing, Because literally, if that just goes off and there's a TPK, this isn't like Masks. This isn't like Masks where you have Jonah and he can just keep pumping out new people and just, oh, I heard about this, and here we have all the journals and blah, blah, blah. Like, if there's a giant explosion, they all die, as in on the train, the pieces of the simulacrum are basically lost. I'd have to do a tremendous amount of homebrew work to get that to making sense, and Beddoes would have to find new people, and no, that would be a nightmare. A TPK would end the campaign, which is why I'm being nicer with players surviving and stuff like that, because it's just easier for everybody. It's not like Masks, man. You can't do it like that. Anyways, so if they had gone to the props manager, they could have talked to him about that. They could have gone to the costumer. They could have met the crones. They could have tried to find the 7th special mannequin, but they wouldn't. And then, then they would go to the opera. And if they would have actually succeeded on their listening roles, they could have seen the guy singing in her voice. They could have realized that this is their enemy, and the old woman that's sitting with him is actually Katerina, who's been just horribly disfigured, and a bunch of sanity rolls and shit like that. And then there's supposed to be the big cat and mouse game in the backstage. But really, again, it's one of those sections that sounds really cool. Like, if you were actually doing it in real life, it'd be, like, scary and thrilling and intense and all that, as you're trying to evade these other guys, these Italian thugs, and you've got this piece of the simulacrum you're lugging around, and you're trying to get out of this maze, and you're, like, grabbing, like, fake spears and throwing them, and there's all sorts of props everywhere, and it's like a Jackie Chan would go apeshit in there, all sorts of stuff like that. It would be so crazy. But in a game, to do that, you need a damn good DM, of which I'm not, and a damn good group of players, which, sad to say, I don't think we have. We're just kind of average, and average doesn't do great when it's this free form and that. And so really, like, literally, it just kind of gives you the little setup. It's like, it's a cat and mouse game in the maze at the backstage of the opera. And it doesn't tell you, like, it doesn't give you roles or anything. Again, it's very free form, and for a great DM, sure, they can work wonders with that. But for me, it's just like, I don't know, roll luck to try to navigate out, because what else are you going to really do? I don't know. Again, it's tough. It's tough. And so they were about to just get out scot-free, and, actually, one of the thugs was about to smash Biff Baxter's face in, but the mist came in and killed him. And this, of course, was Fenelic, although I don't know if the players realize that. I don't think they do. Biff Baxter seemed very confused at this situation. And it actually talks about this a bit in the campaign book. They call it Deus Ex Fenelic, in which case Fenelic needs all the pieces of the simulacrum. Okay, he needs it all together so he can get back his normal form and take over the world. And his best bet, as I mentioned, was this group of people. I don't know why. I have no idea why, but his best bet is this group of people gathering it up. And so he doesn't really want to intervene, but if one of the if it seems like one of the pieces of the Simulacrum is about to get into the wrong hands, he might intervene to kill them. That's all just plot bullshit. Me, it was just like, it's the end of the night. They need to get out. Fenalik just kills the guy because it's kind of cool. That's basically what it was. Because Fenalik could have easily just let the other guy take it, and then he just could have killed all the thugs and Arturo and just gotten it that way. But it was like, whatever, it was cool. Have at it. So they both succeeded on their final luck rolls. They're about to just get out the exit and leave, get on the train, done. But no, Umberlee throws the freaking piece of dynamite. And so I have no idea the effects that a single piece of dynamite would have on an old opera house. I really have no idea, but I think it's more movie-esque if the entire place just blew up and basically collapsed. That seems very Michael Bay, and that's what we're kind of going for. So the whole place collapsed. It's done. There is no more Galleria. There's no more La Scala. And so it's like, it's rare. I think I said at the end of the night, I was like, it's rare in a Call of Cthulhu campaign that the players actually change history. And so yeah, I was like, I'm freaking appalled, but I guess none of you died, so fine. They still have no idea where Katerina is, if she's alive, if she's dead, they have no idea, and they really don't give a shit. And that's gonna be problematic, I think, coming up in the Venice chapter, which I'll talk about a little later. Okay, so then next time, we're probably gonna do most of the stuff in the Dreamland. So what's gonna happen? Last time they met the other human companions, Zukov, and, Karakov. Who the hell is Zukov? There's somebody in the world named Zukov. But Karakov, Mac, and there was a creepy old lady, but they didn't talk to her at all. They really like Karakov. And so they basically just, got on the train, hung out a little bit, found out about this whole Dreamlands, the Dreamland Express, all that, and then they basically woke up in the real world again. That was pretty much it. But next time, they'll actually arrive in the next city, Dilath-Leen, which is basically like a trade town. But, you could basically, I think, you could probably run like a mini campaign just in Dilath-Leen. Like, it's a trade town. There's cutthroats. There's a secret police. It's just a whole big city. And unfortunately, that is outside the scope of this campaign. So they won't actually really get to run around Dilath-Leen, because they're going to pull in around midnight. But Henry is going to warn them that it may be unwise to actually go into the city, because the secret police, the Eyes of Dilath-Leen, they can be a bit thuggish. They actually aren't. But they certainly seem it. Like, especially coming from like the black shirts, they might feel a very, very, very similar comparison between the two. So they get to. They stop at Dilath-Leen. Some of the cats are gonna get off, and the passengers that they talk to and that they see are not the only people and things aboard the train at any time, but they're the only ones that we ever care about or get any info about or anything like that. So you might as well assume that they're the only ones aboard. So coming aboard then at Dilath-Leen, here's where we get really interesting. Marana Mare boards the train. He has pale skin, dark hair, and yellow eyes without any pupils. So he's really kind of... He's going to be creepy looking. And he's actually... Well, he's basically being mind controlled at the moment. It's not really apparent when they first meet him. And it doesn't really kick in until a little bit later, but he's not actually human or resembling a human at all. He's kind of in a disguise, and his real form is pretty dangerous. So he comes aboard, as well as the Sarnathians and the Beans of Ib, as I talked about before. So they're going to finally get to meet that, and, you know... God, Biff Baxter with the Sarnathians. Good Christ, I didn't even think about that. Oh my goodness. Oh boy, that'll be interesting. And then Zuza comes aboard. She is a famous dancer of the Dreamlands. But she doesn't really play a huge role in the grand scheme of things. Biff Baxter. Biff Baxter just in the Dreamlands. That's gonna be crazy. Okay. So yeah, they're going to... blah, blah, blah. The next destination then is Zar, which is a park-like city with only a scattering of buildings. And basically, if you... Henry strongly warns any passenger from actually getting off at Zar. Because Zar is like where all the half dreams are. Like incomplete and discarded dreams are. That's where everything of that is. So it's basically insane to just walk through there. So, as far as if they actually do, like, ignore all warnings and actually go into Zar, they just lose some sanity and they come back. But he's obviously going to make it sound much worse than that. Then a madman attempts to board. And yeah, he's basically insane. He'll attack anybody that tries to help him. Henry wants to help him, but he's unsure about letting this guy on board because that can, he could hurt the other passengers and blah, blah, blah. So the investigators that actually have to try to persuade Henry to convince him to let him aboard. There's really no reason to do that. He's not really... He's insane. He's an insane guy. And so on the way from Zar to the next town, which I don't even remember what it's called. Afarat? Yes. That's where like a huge part of the Dreamlands campaign happens, from Zar to Afarat, because that's where the murders happen. Okay, so basically, the guy, Morona Mare, the guy with the yellow eyes, he's being mesmerized, mind-controlled, whatever, by a being known as the Sorcerer. That's all he's known as. It's his only name. He's just pure 100% cliche evil. And the Sorcerer seeks a artifact in possession that is possessed by the creepy old lady called the Lover's Heart. the lover's heart is apparently the only thing that can defeat the sorcerer. And the creepy old woman, she carries around a heart-shaped briefcase that she always keeps locked. And so she does this to make everybody think that the lover's heart is in that briefcase. The lover's heart is actually her heart. It's like Fifth Element, you know. They're in me, you know. It's like that. Her heart is the lover's heart. So she would actually have to be ripped apart to get to it. Yeah, I know. It's Call of Cthulhu. So, the sorcerer then sends... The sorcerer is not allowed on board the train. Henry's just like, no, go fuck yourself. You're not allowed on. So, the sorcerer sends this possessed guy on there to kill the creepy old woman to get the lover's heart. Unfortunately, he doesn't kill the woman right away. He kills something far, far more innocent. Yes, I know. Okay. Shortly after the express departs Tsar, Blackjack, the kitten, frisks into Marana Mayor's compartment when the mesmerized Cerubian is in alien form. The sorcerer forces the Cerubian to kill the kitten. That's going to be rough for me, man. That's going to be... I'm not going to give many... I'm not going to be able to describe much of that. That's real rough. But his alien form is... Well, he's a Cerubian. So let me give you a description of a Cerubian. Somewhere around here is a Cerubian. Anywhere. Oh, maybe it's not there. Where the hell is the full description? Okay, there's like little bits and pieces. Alright, if you've seen my Mangg's movie of Mosquito Man, he's like that. Picture exactly that, but with like Wolverine claws. There you go. That's what a Cerubian looks like. He's got a hard candy coating, and he's got big claws. That's what a Cerubian is. But I think the sorcerer lets him take kind of the human form. Or maybe Cerubians are just able to take human form whenever they want, so to not freak people out. I don't know. I don't know, actually. It's not really explained. It says it's a disguise, but I think people know it's a disguise, which is fine. I mean, you wish the Beans of Ib had a disguise. Okay, so basically, yeah, the kitten comes in. He's in his alien form, and so the sorcerer doesn't want this kitten going around and, you know, spreading all these, you know, telling everybody there's a giant alien around, because he's supposed to be just in his human form. Why would he need to be in his alien form unless he's going to kill shit? So, yeah, the sorcerer forces the guy to kill the kitten. He doesn't want to, but, you know, his mind is only so strong, he can't resist. So, he kills the kitten. and he actually hides the body in one of the investigators' trunks. And so there a spot hidden roll. Eventually, they'll find the little body of the kitten. Man, it's fucked up. It's real fucked up. Blackjack has been stabbed 3 times with a sharp object as long as himself, which is actually 3 claws all at the same time. And then a successful medicine or first aid roll indicates the disturbing possibility it was no knife that killed him. This wound is thicker and rounder than a normal blade. And so then they need to do an investigation into what happened. And so they'll go around all the compartments, they'll talk to everybody, try to figure out what happened. And when the Cerubian feels like the pressure's on him, he's gonna like slip on over to the creepy old lady's compartment while she's in there alone, and he's gonna try to kill her. I don't think he ever. Yeah, I don't think he ever succeeds. No, he doesn't actually ever kill her, 'cause she needs to survive for later. But he does try to, like, wrench the briefcase away from her. And so the investigators hopefully, come in when he's in a scuffle with her. And so they see his giant alien form, and there's sanity losses, and they might have to fight him off, and blah, blah, blah. And eventually Henry shows up, and he orders the tentacles of the train to really restrain him. And Henry is inclined to throw the monster off the train, and the investigators would actually have to persuade him to keep him on the train. And the cats are, of course, furious. The cats are absolutely furious. They want justice. They want justice for Blackjack. I'm going to have shirts made up. So it's up to the investigators what they really want to do with him. I mean, if it were me, if I were playing, yeah, he'd be dead. He'd be killed. Eye for an eye, man. Oh, hold on. No, I haven't read this section in a while. Here you go. If Mimir's attack occurs when the investigators are not nearby, then he rips Madame Brugia apart to find the lover's heart. This does not actually kill her. Her undead body continues to writhe and curse. 1d4 sanity points to witness. It must be restrained in the padded compartment or removed from the train. If Marana Mare succeeds, he hands the lover's heart out the window to the sorcerer at Thalarion. Sorcerer seizes the stone and blasts Marana Mare, so he's injured but not dead. Sorcerer escapes with the lover's heart. Yeah, basically this shouldn't happen, because then they really fucked up. Okay. So hopefully they sort out the murder. They figure out that it's that guy. They stop him before he can kill Madame Brugia. And yeah, then they execute the alien for killing a kitten. Anyways, after they arrive in Afarat, there's another banquet. And the Beans of Ib and the Sarnathians both petition the Dreamers to... They both finally will tell their whole stories about what happened, and they'll ask the Dreamers to kind of be like the impartial member to basically speak to the king and speak to the other group and stuff like that on their behalf. And so this is where the group will really get involved with that whole diplomacy thing going on. This is my favorite part. This is the best part. Karakov is always on the lookout for opportunity for fresh sales. During the banquet and afterwards, he negotiates with both sides to sell weapons. He gets nowhere with the Beans of Ib. They are serenely confident of their doom. However, he is soon close to clinching a profitable deal with the Sarnathians. During the banquet, he proposes to like-minded dreamers that they assist him in figuring out a way to smuggle guns into the Dreamlands. Dingleberry. Think of the prophets, Dingleberry. Yeah, so hopefully by this point they've solved the whole murder thing, but they might have a little bit more time. Basically, they have until they get to Thalarion. Yeah. Then at Thalarion, they finally do get to meet the sorcerer, who attempts to board the train, gliding onto the platform and a clicking of heel bones. He's basically just like a black skeleton in robes. Like, he just looks evil. Everybody knows is evil, blah, blah, blah. And Henry refuses to let him board. The sorcerer hypnotizes Henry and tries to get on board. Dreamers notice that Henry's eyes have taken on a blank look and are filled with a sparkling red glow. His arms fall to his side as the sorcerer brushes by. Dreamers must persuade or slap Henry out of his fit. Any attack drives the sorcerer away. If they fail, the Eidolon arrives to save the day. Okay, no one quite knows who or what the Eidolon Lathi is or was or will be. The best guess is just she is the ghost of a woman who never existed. She wishes to become real in one human dreamer's eyes, but always just as she is on the verge of reality, he dies. Eerie fluting music heralds her approach in the waft of drapery and the pad of soft paws. Human dreamers who glimpse her must oppose their power against her appearance 90 or fall hopelessly in love with her and seek to dwell in Thalarion forever. It will require all their companions' strength against the besotted one's strength, which is increased again by half under the effects of love, to wrestle them back onto the train, or at least get them in reach of the dream beast tentacles which will assist in hauling them aboard and keeping them there. Once Thalarion falls astern, Lathi's influence departs. Should the besotted dreamer vanish into the streets of Thalarion, Lathi, in honor of her incomprehensible agreement with Henry, returns the dreamer to the train more or less intact. The dreamer remembers only dark eyes and inhuman loveliness and desire. So basically, yeah, no matter what, nothing happens, but it's basically just a freak your players out moment where it's like you're compelled to just go deeper and deeper into this city, and they have like this superhuman strength to resist everybody else that's, you presume, trying to hold them back on the train. And then it's like, no, you're lost in the city. The city has you now. But then no, they just get returned. Probably with some more sanity loss, because why the hell not? From The White Ship by H.P. Lovecraft. The City of a Thousand Wonders, Thalarion holds all the mysteries that man has striven in vain to fathom. The city is colossal in extent. Its spires reach so high into the sky that their tops cannot be seen by mortal eye. The grim gray walls surrounding the city stretch far beyond the horizon. Over these walls can be seen a few ominous roofs adorned with rich friezes and alluring sculptures. The city's pier is near a huge carven gate named Akariel. None have ever returned from this city, for therein walk only demons and mad things that are no longer men, and the streets are white with the unburied bones of those that have looked upon the Eidolon Lathi that reigns over the city. Yeah. Only demons and mad things that are no longer men. So yeah, sanity loss would occur. So anyways, the Eidolon basically scares away the sorcerer no matter what. I don't expect them to get that much further than that, but right after that, when they get to Zura, Guillaume boards the train, or he attempts to board the train, and this is the ghoul that they encountered in the catacombs. So hopefully Dingleberry survives to at least that, so he can encounter his good buddy, the freaking ghoul. And there's some more shit with the Sarnathians. This is where they approach their favorite dreamer and ask them to help them murder the Beans of Ib. So we'll see how that goes. And yeah, so on and so forth. That's all I'll talk about for now. There's more for the Dreamlands, plenty more. Well, not plenty more, but that's about halfway through. And yeah, so then we move on to Book 3, Italy and Beyond. And the first stop there is Venice. Now, I won't talk about all of Venice here because we're like 45 minutes in and I said this was going to be a shorter video. But basically in Venice, they're looking for the left leg of the simulacrum. And this is where Fenelek really comes into play finally. Because Fenelek kind of just... He's kind of in love with the whole city of Venice, and so it just really like makes him act up. And so he starts just murdering people all over the place. And so this really just freaks out of the entire city, and of course, you know, the investigators are going to get involved, so on and so forth. While trying to track down where this left leg is hidden. But the side thing that's going on is this kind of love triangle. There's a girl, Maria Stagliani. And there's a guy, Alberto Rossini. And there's another guy, Giorgio... The hell is his last name? Like Grigio or something. Oh no, Giorgio Gasparetti. Alberto likes Maria. Maria doesn't like Alberto. Giorgio likes Maria. Maria likes Giorgio. Alberto is a fascist, and a pretty important one. He's got a bunch of thugs at his command. Giorgio is a communist, and a pretty shitty one. He doesn't have anybody at his command. But he's young and handsome, and that's all that matters in Italy. Not really, but there you go. So it's classic kind of just freaky, older, fat guy, fascist, likes young, pretty girl. Young, pretty girl doesn't like him, wants to get away from him. But then the fat fascist murders her father, even though she doesn't know that, but the other guy does. And there's all this love triangle bullshit going on. And so... it expects the players to care about this. I really don't expect my players to care about this. The only thing I would expect from that is Biff Baxter trying to hook up with Maria. That's about what I would expect. So it does say that if you don't think this fits in with your group and your campaign, you could leave it out, because it really doesn't mean anything. I might actually do that. We'll see how when we get to that point. Because it feels like mentions of these characters are throughout the entire section, you know, and you can get info from these about the actual, about the main plot and all that. Like, they're kind of important, but it's just like, I don't know, maybe it'll be humorous. It's hard to say. I don't know. But Venice is a bit of a lengthy chapter. There's a bunch of shit there, and we finally bring more of Fenelek into the light. So that'll be interesting. But anyways, that's enough talking for this week. We have a long way to... I actually thought Book 3 was slightly shorter than Book 2. No, it's slightly longer. It's a big book. And then after we get done with this, we're like probably a little bit over halfway done. Maybe. Around there. I don't know. It's a long campaign. I don't think we'll make it all the way through, to be honest, to be perfectly honest. So we're just going to go and see how far we can get through. My name is Mang. This has been Secret to Roll Mangging for Horror on the Orient Express. I'll see you fine folks next week.